When you think of the Mother Road, what comes to mind? I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you'd be thinking about Route 66 right now. Route 66 is the most iconic road in American history, traveling 2,448 miles from Chicago all the way to Los Angeles, California. But what people don't know is that there's another highway that felt connected with Route 66, but traveling in a different direction. This is Route 41. Before the video starts though, I wanted to quickly ask if you would consider subscribing to the channel. I make geography and road content like this every single week. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm the channel for you. The channel has been growing amazingly recently and the growth just makes me so happy. So if you want to help me out, just clicking the subscribe button is a very easy way to do that. Thank you. Being a diehard Cars fan since a very young age, I've been familiar with Route 66 my whole life. It's probably what gave me my overall love for roads in America in the first place. The way it zigzagged around the western United States always fascinated me. But that's not what this video is about. It's Route 41. Arguably a more important highway for Americans. That story has been lost to history. See, U.S. Route 41 starts in Copper Harbor, Michigan, the farthest point from any interstate in America. From there it moves south through Green Bay into Milwaukee and Chicago. That's considered to be the northern portion of the highway, before it meets the original start point of Route 66. See, both of these roads started in Chicago, serving a major route to other large American cities. Route 66 went southwest to Los Angeles, and Route 41 went southeast to Miami. The story goes that back in 1926, the year both of these roads became highways, drivers would always make a choice. If they wanted to go west, they'd take 66, and if they wanted to go south, they'd take 41. The two routes connected Chicago to the rest of the United States. So now that you know the simple history, let's go in depth so that you can learn about exactly where 41 goes and why you may know about it without being aware that you do. So as I said earlier, it starts in the Upper Peninsula, at an iconic turnaround in Copper Harbor. Here we see a memorial sign outlining the Indian heritage of the route and the earliest history of the area. I do love that on the sign it says the beginning of US 41. Claiming that title, even though you can't deem either end of 41 as the official start point. Overall, this is my favorite ending / start to any major highway in America, passing the Santa Monica Pier, which is an unpopular opinion of mine. Next, the road goes through the rest of the western UP, hitting Houghton, Marquette, and Escanaba before passing over the border into Wisconsin, where it takes a very interesting turn. See, after a 50-mile portion between the border and Green Bay, it turns into an interstate highway, where it continues in that way until the Illinois border, before going back to US Highway 41. This was in the making since all the way back in 1958, when the portion south of Milwaukee began to be upgraded to a 4-lane divided highway. Over the coming years, 41 through most of the state was upgraded to freeway standards, except for areas that made it very difficult to expand lanes, like Milwaukee and the Lake Butte Causeway. Eventually, the whole thing was upgraded to interstate standards and was ready to be approved. But nothing happened until very recently in 2015, when it was officially welcomed into the interstate system, making it one of the most recent new additions. After Wisconsin, it makes its way through Chicago, taking a certain lakeshore route that may or may not be iconic, something I'll talk about later in the video. Next, it makes its way along the western border of Indiana, one of the last portions where US 41 doesn't run parallel to an interstate. After it meets Evansville, it makes its way through Kentucky, running next to I-69 before meeting I-24 and running next to that until Nashville, where it goes through the downtown on another iconic road, the James Robertson Parkway and Rosa Parks Boulevard, making its way around the Tennessee state capitol. Through the rest of Tennessee, it continues next to I-24 into Chattanooga, before going into Georgia and Atlanta, where it runs next to I-75 into Florida. In Florida, it yet again becomes an iconic road, running on the Gulf Shore through Tampa, where it becomes the Tamiami Trail, an important connector between Tampa and Miami that goes through the Everglades better than any other road. Once it reaches Miami, it sees its end in the most central downtown area. Though it gets no historical sign or iconic pier, it does get a paradise-like feel to it that sheds light on the fact that Miami is underappreciated when talking about massive cities in the US. Something important about Route 41 is the sheer iconicness of a lot of areas in it. You may not know the route on its own, but you should know at least one of these areas I've talked about. You've got the Autumn Scenic Drive near Copper Harbor, showing off some of the best fall colors in the country. You've got Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, one of the most beautiful downtown drives in the entire country. Farther south, you have the Rosa Parks Boulevard in Nashville and the Lee Highway west of Chattanooga, where it passes next to the Tennessee River in a stunning and underrated 20-mile portion. Finally, to top it all off, you have, as I mentioned before, the Tamiami Trail in Florida, connecting Florida's two most important cities. Overall, Highway 41 may not be as iconic or remembered as Route 66, but it absolutely served a purpose to the country, and still does to this day. I personally think it should be thought of and remembered in the same way, which is why I made this video. So if the topic is ever brought up in conversation, I encourage you to mention the vast history of this road. Thanks for watching. Thank you to this week's members JL, Jeremy Crone, Carport, Dominic Psyche, Rosebud4, Aaron Washington, and Bryson. If you want to become a channel member, the link is in the description, as well as the join button next to the subscribe button. It's really just an easy way to give back to the channel if you really appreciate the content. Basically, all the money I get from memberships is going to go straight into my savings and help me pay for college, so you know it's not going to a bad cause. Thank you very much.